Pioneer-ers, welcome to Dorie Clark Week. I'm Olive Hui, your host. Monday, how to find your breakthrough idea if you have more than one passion. Tuesday, how to build and grow your email list. Wednesday, how to structure your day and year to be more productive. Thursday, networking as an introvert, how to talk about yourself. Friday, how to blog for high-profile publications and create other social proof. Monday to Friday, February 27th to March 3rd. What's up? Hi, everyone. This is Olive Hui. You're watching New Year Resume. We are in Dorie Clark Week. I'm here, of course, with Dorie Clark. She is a marketing strategist, author, speaker, professor in business, and so lucky here to be able to talk to Dorie again on Thursday. Welcome, Dorie. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, Olive.
We are going to disclose our real identity. We are introverts. So how are we able to speak at all?
Why are we just not mute in the face of other humans?
I remember in kindergarten when I was 3 years old, the teacher asked, who knows why we can taste food? And I look around. I was like, I can't believe nobody knows. And nobody knows. And I was like, because we have taste buds.
Yeah.
But I remember that moment, and I really still feel like that when I'm out at a conference or meeting someone important, when we are networking. Like, how do we talk about ourselves? Like, you don't want to not share, but you don't want to overshare or just right away give them the elevator pitch. Dorie, please share with us.
Yes. Okay, so two things, Olive. That's a great setup. The first one is that I just want to get a question of terminology out in the open, because I think sometimes there is confusion in terms of the public discourse.
Yes.
About introversion versus shyness. And people, I think, wrongly conflate them. They are psychologically two distinct phenomena. And basically what they refer to, introversion, is this is a question of where you get your energy. And so if you're an introvert, it basically just means that when you interact with people, at the end of it, you are more tired than you go in. It sort of exerts a little bit of an emotional or energetic toll on you to be on in that
recharge when you are alone.
Exactly. Shyness is something different, and that is essentially about a fear of judgment. And so that is what keeps people sometimes from speaking up. And so it is entirely possible to be a shy extrovert or to be a not shy introvert. And so I often hear from people, because I am not a shy introvert. I'm happy to give speeches. I'm happy to be up on stage. You know, the sort of spotlight does not bother me. But I do get tired from it, and I need to sort of be by myself and recharge afterwards.
Yes.
So at a conference, for instance, you know, I'm happy to be up on stage, and, you know, I'll be with people for a while, but, you know, sometimes the invitations will keep coming, like, oh, do you want to, you know, have the reception afterwards? And then do you want to have the dinner afterwards? And then do you want to have the after party afterwards? And it's just like, no, I don't. I need to go hide, but thanks.
Wow. Yeah, that is so true. I mean, again, it's not black and white, but you kind of lean towards one. And some people are more outgoing introverts, some are more, you know, calm extroverts, and that is possible. This is good networking tips, even regardless of whether you're introvert or extrovert.
Yes, indeed.
When we are, say, at a party, I love that skill that you shared about not just telling everybody everything about yourself. And I used it because it is interesting to get to know the other person more when you ask more questions and you focus on the other person. In return, you might even know how to introduce yourself to that particular new friend because you know what they're interested in, and that helps you in the long run. So what would you like to share about networking, I guess, online and in person?
Thank you, Olive. You know, I think what you're referring to in my Recognized Expert course, one of the things that I talk about in terms of a networking strategy is one that I've developed, which I actually call networking chicken. And
hashtag.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, the way that I think of it, it literally is like playing chicken. You know, like if you're drag racing or something, where you want to be the person that makes the other person do the moves first. You don't want to be putting yourself out there initially. And the reason for that, I think sometimes when people especially get nervous, there is a tendency to want to fill the air and talk a lot. Or sometimes people feel like in networking that the way to win people's respect or build a relationship with them is just to overwhelm them with your awesomeness and tell them all the things you're doing and working on and all your credentials. And of course, that ends up backfiring. It's not helpful at all. And so what I try to do is deliberately wait as long as I possibly can to tell people about myself. And so instead, I try to ask questions. Now, I mean, of course, as with anything, it can be taken too far. You don't want to, like be so mysterious about yourself that the other person's like, what is your deal? In general, you should have a bias toward letting the other person talk. You should have a bias toward asking questions so you can learn more about them. And the reason you do this is twofold. One is that it's useful because you learn a lot more about that person. And consequently, when it is your turn to talk, you can tailor the information about yourself to what is most interesting or relevant to them. So if they happen to mention that they're a really big music fan, you, Olive, wear many hats, but so you could lead with a music piece. Oh, well, you mentioned that you love live music. I'm actually in a band. And then you can talk about that. And it makes it more likely that you can build a connection with somebody based on that commonality rather than just randomly throwing things against the wall. The second reason that it is useful to ask a lot of questions is, frankly, people like talking about themselves. They like to be made to feel interesting. And so if you actually are genuinely interested, this is not an activity where you're faking it, like, oh, I'll just pretend to be interested in this person, but you ask, legitimate follow-up questions like, oh, this person's kind of cool, let me learn about this, then you can often impress them and build a nice connection because they really appreciate that you have taken that genuine interest in them. And so it's more likely that when it's time for you to talk, they're going to want to pay attention because you have done them that courtesy.
Wow, yes, I totally agree. I've used that before, and I think it's much more natural. Can you share one little tip about following up after meeting people that you find interesting?
Yeah, so I think that this is a place where a lot of people fall down in their networking and their relationship building because so much of the emphasis on networking, so much of the conversation is about the so-called top of the funnel. Just meeting people, bringing them in. How do you meet more people? How do you meet different kinds of people? How do you go to the events? All this stuff.
The business cards at home that you have no idea who that is.
Exactly. And so, yes, of course, it's useful. It's important to meet lots of different people. But if you don't do anything with that, if you don't follow up, if you don't turn it into anything, then they are going to forget really quickly. I meet a lot of people, but I was thinking about somebody that I met a few months ago the other day, and I realized I couldn't remember that person's name, even though we had like a meeting just a few months before. I literally couldn't remember their name because I hadn't emailed with them afterwards. I certainly hadn't met with them afterwards. I mean, I just have no idea. And so,
did you try to search through like the topics or the companies?
Yeah, I mean, like you literally have to like search in your Gmail and be like, oh, what did we talk about and what phrases did I use? And I mean, that's after a few months. You imagine like a year later, I'm not even going to remember the meeting, and that's what we're left with. And so ultimately, the question is, if you meet someone and you just not everyone you meet is going to be interesting to you to follow up with, of course. But if you decide that if they are a connection that is worthy of pursuing and someone you want to bring into your circle, it is really important and useful to ask yourself as soon as possible, what is the context in which I could meet up with this person? How do I move the relationship forward? And it's a real strategic advantage if you do that, because very few people do this. I mean, you're going to do it and probably no one else. And so it's a real asset to do it. And so it could be some really simple things. This is why in that initial conversation that you have, it is helpful to try to have the long-term view of it so that you can gather useful intelligence. And so you want to be looking out for things that they say so that you're like, oh, that's a commonality. Okay, this could be useful. So let's say you meet someone at an event and they tell you all of that they really like live music, and they tell you that they are a sports fan, and they tell you that they work for a particular company. Okay, those are three great facts that you can hold on to, and you decide, I like this person, I want to have them in my network. And so maybe, a month later, you have an extra ticket. It turns out your friend is canceled and you have an extra ticket to a concert. And so maybe you say, oh, you like live music. You reach out to that person. Whether they can come or not, they're going to appreciate that invitation. They're going to appreciate that gesture. And it's going to, oh, wow, that Olive, she's so thoughtful. She remembered that I did that. Maybe, a few weeks after that, you see that their sports team has done really well. I mean,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
My joke is, I thought Super Bowl was bowling.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, this works better for some people than others. But for instance, we have, as we're filming this, the Super Bowl recently happened. So, anyone, even if you're not following sports, you probably heard the Patriots had this big victory. It was crazy, whatever. So if your person is a really big Patriots fan, maybe this is the moment to be like, oh, wow, congratulations. That was great. Or, if you see something about their company in the news, maybe you reach out and you congratulate them or you ask them about it. Maybe their company just acquired another company, or it's in the headlines because their company's corporate social responsibility initiative gave a lot of money to refugees, or, who knows what. And you can just say, oh, I read this article. It made me think of you. And those are just nice little ways to
be
stay
mindful
on your
of that. My way of remembering is when I vlog, like I carry my camera everywhere with me. And if I vlog, I meet interesting people, I interview them. And then I have to face.
Yeah, you're not going to forget that.
If I like to share that, I will put in the information. To give you an interesting example, we had a field trip at Barnes & Noble with Tim Ferriss, because Tim Ferriss was there to sign Tools of Titans book signing. My buddy sitting next to me that I just met on the day, he was from a company called Baby Doctor. And Baby Doctor, the doctors make house call all around 5 boroughs. I asked him, hey, we're just waiting to meet Tim. How about do a little interview with you? So I talked to him. His company ended up ripping the video from my YouTube channel, which with my permission. And they put it on their site, put it on their social media, they shared. And they talk about, oh, it's so cool that we were featured on New York Reel. And to me, it's like, what? I was just living my life. I met a friend. I thought that was interesting and I shared. And it was beneficial both sides.
That's great. Perfect
relationship. Talking about vlogging, tomorrow we are talking about blogging. How do we get into high profile publications and other social proof? So I'm excited for that. Thank you, Dorie. New York Reelers, don't forget to go check out DorieClark.com/olive, and you'll find out all about her Recognized Expert course.
Here we are again, another shattered dream. You know I have it in me to give you what you want, but time and time again, you make me watch you leave. Another poison letter, when I know just what you mean. And you must know by now, you're all that I want. And you must know by now, you're all that I want. It's times like these that hurt so much, when your heart beats loud and you're out of trust. I don't know how we've come this far, but we're finding who we are. Never gonna love without you, never gonna fade away. Can we get this shit together and